What's going on, everybody? It's your man B Swift. Welcome to an episode of P Swift's Guy's Guide, right? Brought to you by Eskenazi Health. We are spending our day out at the track today as we get ready for the 109th running of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway's Indy 500. Today, I got a chance to wave the green flag, so I'm gonna mark some other things off on my list. Shout out to the track for being an amazing partner with us. I'm gonna start with my guests. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and what they do, and I'm gonna start with you.
Good to see you, Swift.
As
Jimmy
always.
McMillan, welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So excited to have you here. So excited to have you wave the green flag. And thank you for all that you have done to promote the track and everything that we're doing to our community. It means the world to me. My name is Jimmy McMillan. I'm the Senior Corporate Counsel for Penske Entertainment and Chief Diversity Officer.
Hello, Swift. I'm Tracy Pruitt. I am a training facilitator with Sandra Eskenazi Mental Health Center. Thank you for having me this month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness.
Thank you for being here.
B Swift, good to see you again. This is Rod Reed. I'm the president of NXG Youth Motorsports, as well as the team owner and principal for Force Indy race team. We have a team in the Indy Next series with our driver, Miles Rowe.
Now, I want to start with you, Mr. Reed. Your team, what you have for the teenagers. Explain that to those who might not know exactly what it is and what it do and how you serve our community.
Well, the key thing about what we do in motorsports is that we are participants. A lot of teams and folks who are in racing actually don't race. They may have other jobs that they do. But in our case, we were fortunate enough to have a partnership with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar. And in 2020, we created a team called Force Indy. The objective of that team was to actually race and to hire mechanics, to hire engineers, to hire the full complement of what's required in order to compete with our focus on Black and brown people.
Which is dope, because what's the age group you started, you kind of run through?
Well, a lot of racing starts young when you're in your teens. We actually started just a little bit older, but for the most part, the ladder system, you have to be about 16 years old to get in. Our driver is now just turned 25, but we started 4 years ago with Miles and also Ernie Francis Jr. So we've had two drivers, but the part that I'm really excited about is that we have had kids from my NXG Youth Motorsports program that are now adults that have come back to work in Force Indy as mechanics and as engineers.
Now that's fire. Jimmy, with you being here at the track, and you know, we had this conversation when I first came on board. We don't see a lot of us out here as much. You know what I mean? We don't feel like this is our comfort zone. And you've done a great job at help changing that and putting that into our mental. Why has that been so important for not just you, but for the track too?
Well, you know, we can't have places and spaces that we don't go based on our race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation. We've got to be able to feel like each and every place is our place. And what the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy 500 stands for is this is an American tradition, and we are Americans. And therefore, I shouldn't feel as an American that this isn't some place that I shouldn't come and celebrate America on Memorial Day like everyone else. This is it's the global welcoming place. When I first came in from Chicago, people said you don't go over there. They don't want you over there. It's Dixie flags, it's Confederate flags. There were people who live right here in Hallville who are almost proud to tell you how they lived there all their life. And they'd never been inside the track, and they didn't know what goes on in this place. And I found that troubling, because what does that say to our children? You should be curious about those places that they don't want you to go. You should wonder, why don't you want me to be there? What's going on in there that I don't know about? Because it seems like there's a lot of money and commerce going on there. It seems like there's relationships there. It seems like there's fun there. And I want to have fun. And if you're having fun in there, I want to make sure that there's nothing fun in there that I can do that you're doing, right?
Facts.
And so for me, it's been a passion to expose our children, our community, to everyone, to this place, because it has been such a great place for me.
Now, Miss Tracy, I jumped to you because, you know, he used the word passion, right? And this being Mental Health Month and being on the outside looking in, right? We got some youngsters with us who this might be their first time here. And it might have been the stereotypes of this isn't somewhere to go, but now we bring them here. What does that look like in the capacity of making sure that's okay in their brain and getting them conditioned to understand that we're going to invade spaces that we shouldn't be in?
I'm glad that you said that. So, one, I get the opportunity, as Jimmy said earlier, I get the opportunity to do exactly what I love. get the opportunity to go out and work with adults on how to support young people and how to help them to be mentally well. But I have always believed, and I didn't know it was a theory until I got my degree. I've always believed if you think it, you could do it. And so that's what we call CBT therapy, that, you think it, then there's the behavior, and then there's the outcome. And so I am a person that just believe once you enter a space, then you can have a thirst for it. Maybe not have a thirst for it if you've never been there, but once you've been there, then you can have a thirst for it. And then that's when we can help them to have the appropriate behaviors to get that outcome.
And I think that's dope. Now, you two, you've worked together, right? And I want to ask you because you're taking kids from the neighborhood, giving them a chance to be on this track or to work with cars, or work with race cars, be behind go-karts. Mentally, that's a daring task. Well, I don't know how I'm going to leave home, and my mom might need me to be at home helping with my little brother, but you want me to come here and prepare myself for something I don't even know if I'm going to do. But then I start liking it, and I want to be a part of it. But then I'm in this space where there's not a lot like me. What do you tell the kids and the youth and the young adults that come through, both of you, when they come through, to how to prepare for that?
Well, one of the things that happens within Extra Youth Motorsports, and we're working with kids, as you know, that are middle school, so they start 11 to 16. And the number one thing that they have when they come to us is this fear that I may not be able to do it. And they're coming from all walks of life, as you said. Who knows what baggage they bring to this game, if you will. But all of them are trying something new that they haven't done before. Even if they've been in a go-kart before, they may not have been in one that is as fast and as quick as ours. And we have to deal with that anxiety, that fear. We've had kids that have done tremendous things that they never thought they would do. Some of them cry. Some of them get so excited because and they just don't know how to handle the stress. So I think what's real important and what we've been able to do together is to train our staff to be able to identify when a child is perhaps a little bit overstressed, or maybe we observe something that they bring to the table. You never know. It could have been they didn't have a breakfast that morning, and all of a sudden they're sick, and we think maybe they got sick because they're in the go-karts. And it's all because of nutrition. So we look at the full human being, and of course, dealing with the mental health is a big deal.
Hey, Swift, I'm gonna tell you a funny thing about the mental health side of NXG. So I was a dad, and my son, we could participate in the program, we still on crew. But the parents, so we have parents who readily tell us, I would not be out here but for my kid wanting to be in a racing, or they saw, but once they watch their kid, it's just like every other sport. The real mental health problem is the parent. The parent who believes my kid is now ready to see Mary Andretti's. My kid is now ready to compete at the highest level. They're ready to mortgage their house, mortgage their car. They want Coach and I to figure out where we can get $2 million. That's where the real mental
the real car.
They're ready today. And so I think that's where the real mental challenge is on these parents who don't realize how they move and groove and what they do impacts their child, and to watch some kids come in overconfident. I mean, our Coach Reed's program is all about safety first. That's the number one thing. And we have kids that come in with the attitude of their parents. This is how my mama drive on 465. She do 150 miles an hour. I should too. And he has to bring them down to a place, but also has to talk to the parent too, to get them mentally all aligned on what is the real goal. We're trying to keep your child safe. We're trying to teach them to be responsible. We're trying to teach them how to do this the right way. And winning is important, but winning at all costs is not going to be productive for anybody. So I just had to put that in.
Yeah. And so I would say, I love how you said safety. And we I'm a parent as well. We think about safety, but the biggest safety that we can have, and the best safety we can have for young people, is having them to feel psychologically safe.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do, so as I said, I train youth mental health first aid. That's for adults who work with youth, how to recognize if there's a young person that's having a mental health challenge and how to support them. So one of the things that I did with Ra's group is just learning how to talk to them, learning how to listen, making it where they want to come and say something. So I grew up in the age that You couldn't say, I'm depressed. Go depress those dishes. You couldn't say, I'm sad. And so being able to have those conversations and then also recognizing, especially with males, um, and especially males that are inner city, underserved, males of color, it is not safe for them to say, I'm scared. It is not safe for them to say, I'm depressed. And so it will present itself as anger. And so we can learn to have conversations with young people and making it not only safe, but decreasing the stigma to be able to say, I'm sad right now. I'm scared. And so being able to listen and then to also see, okay, maybe he is cursing or maybe he is, but it's not that he doesn't want to be here. It could be that he's scared something happened at home. And so that's what I do. That's why I like what I do. And I just know the importance. I've spent the majority of my career working with young people. And I know we have some young people here. And I think, if they would be honest, they can shake their head and say that where we mess up as adults, we don't hear. We hear to respond and we don't hear to listen to see how to support. Can I get an amen? See?
And I would go, I'm glad you touched on what you touched on, because these my little homies right here, right? And at times, maybe they want to speak up and speak out, and they don't know how to. And with May being Mental Health Month, do you have any tips for them that they can use when they want to get their point across instead of going from 0 to 100, that can get them like, hey, let's have this convo? Because again, we don't, as adults, we don't hear all the time.
Right.
And how do we get an adult to sit down and listen, understand, and try to help or fix what that situation is?
So I'm glad you asked. So there's two things. So one of the things, and you can find this on the internet, you can Google feelingswheel.com. There's a whole wheel of different feelings. And a lot of times it's not necessarily anger. It could just be frustrated. So teaching vocabulary, that's number one, teaching vocabulary. And then number two, and you're male, I have 3 male sons. I have a male husband. You don't want anybody to just say, come on, sit down, tell me how you feel.
We
So, yeah, right. So it could be through walking through the track. It could be playing basketball. You can do these things and get conversations through other activities. I don't know a male, and when I meet one that's just saying, well, let's sit down and talk, I'm gonna have my husband talk to me. Yeah. So, just through activity. And then look for patterns, listen for patterns. You can start to see certain things. You know, People lie, numbers don't. I'm always about taking data. Even when I worked in the school system, I would start looking at, okay, what time is it that Jamal likes to talk? I noticed that Jamal doesn't like to talk until about noon. So my question might be, what time do you go to bed? I'm paying attention. And so just doing some of those things and then asking them, not telling them. As adults, we mess up. We try to tell people what to do. What makes it comfortable or makes it uncomfortable for you to talk to me?
If I could add to that, when we have a young person, and we're predominantly 88% of our participants in Indy Youth Motorsports are male, Black males. And what we talk about with them is, first of all, we want to hear what you have to say. So I think a lot of times it's not even asking a question, it's just having an environment where you can actually speak your mind. So one of the first things we do, it sounds very simple, but we'll ask everyone to introduce themselves. And when they do, it tells us a tremendous amount of information about how they feel about themselves. If I ask these young men to stand up right now, each one of them would have a little different approach. Maybe they're a little nervous. Maybe they stand up. Somebody might project well. Somebody be a little more introverted. But then you can encourage them by saying, you know what? Speak your piece. Whatever you got to say, we're here to listen, and everybody's going to listen to you. And sometimes that's an embarrassing moment because they're not used to having people listen. But then once you get past that, it's like the idea of, you know what, I can talk in this environment. That helps them feel like they're safe.
I encourage parents all the time, as a parent, put your kids in programs with good people like Coach Reed. I mean, I feel like I'm a great father But I remember telling Coach Reed, I'm like, man, my son Lance, he's just so quiet. And then he looked back at me and said, Lance cracks me up. He's like, cracks jokes all the time. I'm like, who, my son? Right? I think a lot of times kids can't understand, but parents should understand that we're just as scared too. Our inability to listen, our inability to stop and not pop off about everything you ask for, everything you want, comes from a fear that if we are as parents are supposed to protect you and put guardrails up all the time. And if something happens to you, we can't get you back, right? And so you think you're being open and you're saying, hey, we want to talk about something out of school, but you guys feel that, hey, if I really tell you the truth, I'm going to get walled in because you're going to pop off. And that's very hard to deal with. And that's why sometimes you got to hand your kids to good people and you got to back out the room and walk out the room and say, Coach, hey, you talk to Lance because you're going to be able to talk to him about ways and things that he can never share with me because I'm his father. Not that Coach doesn't care about Lance, but I got to care about him from the perspective of somebody that was at Riverside Park this past weekend and they started shooting at the park. And so if you come to me as my son and say, you know, I was thinking about going to Riverside Park, I'm going to react as a father and say, have you lost your mind? You know, but if Coach, you say that to Coach, he may be able to explain it to you in a different way and say, well, let me hear about that. Well, let me explain to you, you know, when are you talking about going up? He'll listen, he might hear it out. So I strongly encourage people, Center for Leadership Development, there's so many good programs, 100 Black Men Battalion, Kappa League, Voices, there's different, find these programs out here and put your kids in.
Eskenazi Mental Health Center, we have a whole adolescent.
Yeah, find those resources that are out there to put your kids in that if you can't talk to them, that others may be able to do that.
And I think on that, mentoring, right? Like being around an adult, whether, you got to be with them every day, once a week, they become a mentor. Like, I know I can call you for anything. I haven't used my pass yet, but I know I can call you, and when people ask like, yo, Jimmy, like, that's like my mentor. Like, if I go to the track, Jimmy be like, nope, you're not about to do that. Come hang out with me. And you take me around, make me come out of my shy shell that I have that nobody knows. He be like, this is Rod. This is such and such. Meet this person. All right, Swift, I'll see you later. Call me if you need me. That's very important to our boys and our girls. I have a daughter, and it's very important. If these young men are sitting here, they're around different men every day, explain why that mentorship is very important and how to use it to their advantage.
Well, one thing, and I would say to this to all of you, always ask. You won't get a thing without asking. But what we try to do, at least in NXU Youth Motorsports, we try to put everyone in a position where they can ask and they feel like there's no stupid question. There's nothing that we're going to get them embarrassed about if they were to say something. And so just the fact that encouragement, it was something, Jimmy, you touched on. One of the things that we do with young people, we did it with Lance, we did it with other young men and girls, that we first say, you know what, try something that you've never tried before. Parents don't always do that. Like you said, the parents are a little more helicopter. I'm going, you know what? You haven't done that? Let's try it. I'm going to be right here if you fall, but try it. And I think that's one of the biggest differences, that we encourage them to take a step that maybe will build some confidence and get them, feeling good. That's the mentoring part that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Being able to say, you know what, I have my arms around you, even though I'm not necessarily touching you.
And I'm
embracing
it.
And
being open
exactly.
to embracing it. It might take a while to let
sometimes you
your personal space and embrace it.
Especially if they don't know you, which is why we spend a great deal of time right away doing small things. Like for us, things like putting on a uniform and a helmet, they think it's for their protection, and it is, but that process is us saying we are helping to armor you, to give you the protection that you need. And then the fact that one of the things, good touch is so important, and especially among males. And then that's the first thing we do is, you know what, I don't have a problem. Let me help you with that.
You're right.
And a lot of times I get people, girls and boys, come and say, you know what, I feel real comfortable with you because it was a positive touch.
Yeah.
Emotional as well as physical.
And I think it's important to mentor up and mentor down. There's something that you can learn from the young people that you are mentoring. So if you go in with this, I have all of the answers, you're only going to get so much. So mentoring down, I've spent my whole career working with young people. So I'm always asking like questions like, what does this mean? What does this word mean? Why do you do this? Help me understand. That lets them know that they have something to offer as well. So I am a firm believer of mentoring up and mentoring down, allowing them to mentor you in some areas. Because things are different. And when we look at the young people now, so someone that is 15, we all know what went on 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Life is completely different from them growing up
Than us.
than we did.
Absolutely.
We didn't even have a reference for the pandemic. So you're going to find different ways of thinking. You're going to find different ways of communicating because communication has changed totally as a result of the pandemic. So I just believe that, you can, a great mentor is willing to learn as well from the mentee.
I came into this sport, I came to this place. My mother said, is that place gonna stay open? And then she said, don't get yourself lynched. My grandfather was lynched for looking at a white woman, her father. Only black person that really was at this track at the time, other than Steven Starks, who had this position before me, was Coach Reed. And we talk 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. We only on the phone to each other. Sometimes just saying, I love you.
Yeah.
Like, don't be afraid to tell another black man I love you. Because sometimes that's what we need to hear to keep doing the work that we're trying to do in the ways we're trying to do it. He's in rooms that I'm not in. And so he can tell me what happened in that room. I'm in rooms that he's not in. The things I had to learn, the people I had to learn, how things are really done. I don't have a background in racing. He knows what's going on the track. He knows about the owners. We're constantly having conversations about like how to move one step forward. We are working together as men trying to do that. And he has been a phenomenal mentor to me. In every movement we've had, we've tried to do it together in tandem, saying, hey, if he calls me and says he needs to talk to me, we talking today, breakfast, lunch. And a lot of times we're trying to do life alone. Life wasn't meant to do alone. It's a whole lot easier for me not to make the mistakes or have the errors or go through a path that coach can just talk me through. He can say, Jimmy, I wouldn't do that. Jimmy, I wouldn't run that route. No, we need to do it this way. And because I trust him and I respect him and because I've seen him as one of my ancestors, my elders, I appreciate that. And it's led me to a place that's why every day of my life is bright, because I know if I got a problem, I got somebody to call on. And I do.
All right, Guys Guide brought to you by Espionage. Before I get y'all out of here, because I know it's a busy day out here, Rod, if people want to find more out about NXG, participating in NXG, what is something that they can do and how can they find it out?
Real simple, nxgyouth.org, nxgyouth.org. Go in there, you can look at our website, see what we do. We got several programs, including a program that we call Path to Pro for older young people. So if they're 16 or up, a lot of times I'll get calls and we were just talking earlier, I'm getting 3, 4 calls or emails a day about, do you have a job? I'm interested in being a mechanic. I'm interested in going into marketing. Do you have a job? And one of the things that I'm able to do, thanks to Mr. McMillan, is to say, give Mr. McMillan a call. Maybe there's an opportunity with internships. That's one thing that we talked about when I first came to the Speedway. I was surprised at how many white kids that I saw working. And I was going, wow, this is crazy. Well, those were the sons and daughters of all the people that worked here. And I saw one person that looked like you and I sitting on this panel. And what Jimmy has been able to do is to establish internships, lunch and learns, things that just bring kids into, today he's got almost 1,000 kids here, bringing them to get them experience and feel comfortable in the space. And these young men that are here, they've heard something that they maybe have never heard before, because they got every job you can think of right here. There's not a job, even somebody asked me, well, what about a basketball player? Basketball players are sponsors. Basketball players are supporters of racing. So you name the job, there's something here for you.
All right, Miss Tracy, with May being Mental Health Month, wanting to find out more information, how can we tap in with Sandra Eskenazi Health and be connected and find tips or find just resources that can help us?
All right. So you can contact Toolkit at eskenazihealth.edu, or you can contact me. As I said, I teach mental health first aid, but the other thing I get to do, I get to go out into the community. I do consultations. I get to collaborate with anyone in Marion County that's willing and that needs help and wants tips. So you can contact me personally at Tracy, TRACY.Pruitt, PRUITT, at eskenazihealth.edu. Thank you again so much for having me here.
Oh, thank you. Jimmy,
Yes.
track needs people all the time, whether it's race day, whether it's Brickyard, whether it's SRV, I think is what it's called. You guys got a million things going on out here. And I know summertime for a lot of the youth, they're looking for help. They're looking for opportunities, whether it's working, whether it's internships, whether it's lunch and learn. How do they find out more info about the track and being a part of the family here?
Reach out to me, Jimmy McMillan. My email is jmcmillian at brickyard.com. That's jmcmillian at brickyard.com. Love to talk to you about all the opportunities we have here at the track, from internship programs to opportunities for organizations to come out and work and earn money. If it's volunteers here at the track, where we pay those organizations money, to working for Aramark and concessions, working in security and staffing, and then also, our executive jobs. We have went from a staff of 1% people of color to now 18%. Those internship programs that Coach talked about, we've now hired 6 interns on full-time staff over the past 3 years. We now have 20 DLMP interns I just looked at yesterday, which is our diverse leadership and motorsports program. So we're doing great things here, but come on out to the track. If you've never been to the Indy 500, reach out to me. I want you to experience it for the first time. Hit that email. We are the best ticket in sports. You can bring kids 15 and under free in general admission with their parent. You can bring your own food. You don't have to buy the $6 bottle of water or the $9 beer. You can bring your own food, your own beverage, your own alcohol, as long as it's not in glass and it's in the appropriate size cooler. And if you got an infield parking pass, which you cannot buy now, but you can for next year, you can bring your own grill. You can cook your own food during the race. These are things that our community has not known about. We are the best tickets. So you got 10 kids, I'm sure Tracy will tell you, one of the best things to do is spend time with them. And so you may not ever be able to go to a Colts game or a Pacers game, but you can definitely come out here and have a wonderful day at one of our events. So we want to see you come out, bring your family out, and experience the Indy 500 this year.
Definitely make sure you make it happen. Again, my friends at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I appreciate y'all. Last year, a race car. This year, I'm waving the green flag to start practice. Next year, I'm getting a helicopter, Jim. Need a helicopter ride. Yeah, I don't know how we gonna make that happen, but I'm telling you on camera. So when we come back next year, it's in stone. Somehow we gotta figure this out.
I thought you were gonna jump out during pre-race, like jump out of one of the rims. I was picturing you flying.
I don't know. My nerves aren't that good.
They both did the parachuting thing.
Oh, he's good, cause yeah, that's a great conversation to be had, but I don't know. But no, I appreciate you guys for stopping by and being a part of this conversation. Shout out to Voices for being a part of this and enjoying the track for today. Hopefully you guys want to come back and return and and be a part of the track family like I have become. And again, thank you to Eskenazi for sponsoring Guys Guide, and thank you, Miss Tracy, for coming through. And we'll definitely be in conversation, all right?
Absolutely.
All right, that's B Swift's Guy Guide. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. No, appreciate you,